A journey 200,000 years into the past. Imagine stepping into a world where mammoths roamed vast frozen plains and 6 different human species called Earth home. Sounds like science fiction? It's not. 200,000 years ago, our planet was alive with incredible creatures and dynamic landscapes. Today, we're diving into that distant past to explore a time when survival meant adapting to a harsh, unpredictable world. But first, let's put this timeline into perspective. 200,000 years may sound like an eternity, but geologically speaking, it's just a blink. To give you an idea, this time period has repeated itself only 330 times since the dinosaurs went extinct. Earth was well into the Ice Age, cycling between cold glacial periods and warmer interglacials, shaping ecosystems and testing life's resilience. Now picture this. The Earth's continents were already familiar, though subtly different. Tectonic plates shifted slowly, moving continents apart by just a few kilometers. From space, the planet might seem recognizable, but up close the details told another story. Coastlines were altered, ice sheets dominated the poles, and vast steppes stretched across regions now covered by dense forests. The skies weren't the same either. If you gazed up, you'd see constellations unrecognizable today. Stars had shifted. Some had exploded into supernovas, while others were yet to form. The cosmos is constantly moving, though we don't notice it in our lifetimes. Back then, even the heavens reflected a world vastly different from what we know. This era, the Pleistocene, was a time of transition. Ecosystems adapted to extreme shifts in temperature and sea levels. Ice sheets grew and retreated, carving mountains and creating new landscapes. Life had to be resourceful. Plants and animals evolved or disappeared, balancing on a knife's edge between survival and extinction. Humans weren't alone. 6 different human species inhabited the planet, each with unique traits and abilities. From the pioneering Homo erectus to the robust Neanderthals, these ancient humans navigated the challenges of their environment. Together, they painted a diverse picture of what it meant to be human in a wild, untamed world. As we unravel the mysteries of this incredible era, we'll explore the geography, megafauna, and human stories that defined it. Stay with us as we uncover the challenges these ancient beings faced and the breathtaking creatures they lived alongside. Ready to step into the Ice Age? Let's dive into Earth's ancient landscapes and meet its extraordinary inhabitants. Where were we 200,000 years ago? Let's rewind the clock to a time when the world was colder, wilder, and much less crowded. 200,000 years ago, Earth was in the Ice Age, and glaciers sprawled across vast areas of the planet. But this wasn't a frozen wasteland. Between the ice sheets were thriving ecosystems, from grassy steppes to ancient forests, home to incredible creatures and, yes, some of our earliest ancestors. The continents back then looked pretty familiar, but the details were a bit off. Africa and South America were about 6 kilometers closer, thanks to tectonic plates moving at a snail's pace. Coastlines weren't exactly where they are now, and lower sea levels exposed massive land bridges, connecting places like Siberia and Alaska, opening highways for migration and adventure. Above it all, the sky told a completely different story. If you looked up, you wouldn't recognize a single constellation. Stars were in different places. Some hadn't even been born yet, and others had already burned out. The heavens aren't as static as they seem. They're always shifting. For anyone lost in time back then, even the stars wouldn't be much help for navigation. Earth's climate was no walk in the park either. The Ice Age was a roller coaster of freezing and warming. Glacial periods locked water in massive ice sheets, lowering sea levels and creating harsh, dry landscapes. During interglacials, like the one we were in 200,000 years ago, the ice receded, temperatures climbed a little, and ecosystems adapted to the fleeting warmth. These dramatic shifts didn't just shape landscapes, they also tested life itself. Plants especially struggled to keep up with rapid climate swings. Where forests once stood, open steppes took over, creating vast grazing lands. This was the age of megafauna, where mammoths, woolly rhinos, and giant sloths ruled, evolving to handle the frigid challenges of their icy domains. It wasn't just the animals that had to adapt. Early humans were already out there, facing these challenges head-on. With fire to keep warm and tools to hunt, they carved out a living in this unpredictable world. But back then, they weren't alone. Multiple species of humans walked the earth, each finding unique ways to survive, evolve, and thrive in their environments. From the ice to the grasslands, Earth's geography and climate were forces of constant change. As we dive deeper, we'll uncover how these shifting environments shaped the lives of the megafauna and the human species that lived alongside them. Buckle up, because the Ice Age is just getting started. The incredible megafauna of 200,000 years ago. 200,000 years ago, Earth was home to some of the most mind-blowing animals ever to walk the planet. Imagine mammoths stomping across icy steppes or woolly rhinos braving the cold like prehistoric tanks. These weren't just oversized animals. They were the giants of their time, perfectly adapted to survive in a world dominated by freezing climates and harsh environments. In Africa, the savannas were bustling with life. Sure, you had lions and elephants, but back then, their ancestors were larger and more intimidating. Civatherium, a giraffe relative, towered over the landscape with its 4 massive horns. It was like an okapi on steroids, striding through the plains, proving that Africa was always the land of the bold and bizarre. Australia, however, said, "Hold my boomerang," and introduced the Diprotodon, the largest marsupial to ever exist. Picture a wombat the size of a van, munching on leaves and roots. Then there was Megalania, a lizard bigger than most cars. Think of a Komodo dragon, but scaled up to nightmare proportions. Australia, even back then, was winning the weird animal contest. In the Americas, the showstoppers were the ground sloths. Forget the slow tree dwellers we know today. These giants could reach up to 6 meters tall when they stood on their hind legs. And don't forget the Glyptodon, a prehistoric armadillo that looked like it drove straight out of the Flintstones, a walking fortress with a tail that could crush anything in its path. Eurasia's frozen steppes were like nature's ultimate showroom. Here, Mammuthus primigenius, the woolly mammoth, ruled the icy plains alongside Elasmotherium, a giant rhino with a single massive horn. It was the stuff of legends, likely inspiring tales of unicorns. With their thick fur and hulking frames, they were the MVPs of the Ice Age's frozen tundras. Let's not forget the predators. Smilodon, the famous saber-toothed cat, prowled the Americas, taking down prey with its powerful forelimbs and massive teeth. In Australia, Thylacoleo, the marsupial lion, proved marsupials could be just as terrifying. These predators weren't just hunters, they were finely tuned survival machines, balancing brute strength and adaptability. This was the age of giants, where every ecosystem had its larger-than-life stars. But as awe-inspiring as these creatures were, they faced challenges from climate shifts and the rise of human hunters. As we move forward, let's see how these colossal beings shaped the lives of the humans who lived alongside them and what led to their eventual downfall. The 6 human species of 200,000 years ago. Imagine a world where you weren't the only human around. 200,000 years ago, Earth was like a big family reunion, except some relatives were really different. 6 human species coexisted, each adapting to survive in a world filled with challenges. From skilled toolmakers to island hobbits, these ancient humans painted a diverse and fascinating picture of life on Earth. First up, we have Homo erectus, the OG of human evolution. These pioneers mastered fire, lived in groups, and spread across continents. Think of them as the adventurous older sibling who paved the way for everyone else. By 200,000 years ago, they were nearing the end of their run, but their legacy was alive in the genes and habits of other human species. In Europe and the Middle East, Homo neanderthalensis, or Neanderthals, dominated the scene. Stocky and strong, these humans were built for the cold. But they weren't just brute survivalists. They buried their dead, made jewelry, and probably told stories around the fire. They weren't so different from us, except for their impressive eyebrow game and slightly larger brains. Over in Asia, the Denisovans played a mysterious role. We don't know much about them, but their DNA lives on in some modern humans. They were experts at intermingling, even creating hybrids with Neanderthals. It's like the Denisovans were the social butterflies of the Ice Age, leaving little pieces of themselves in humanity's genetic tapestry. Meanwhile, on the island of Flores, Homo floresiensis, nicknamed hobbits, thrived. Standing just over 3 feet tall, they were tiny but mighty. Island life had shrunk them, but they hunted, made tools, and held their own in a challenging environment. When modern humans arrived later, it must have felt like giants invading their world. Then there was Homo heidelbergensis, likely the common ancestor of Neanderthals and modern humans. These guys were skilled hunters who knew their way around fire and spears. Though they were fading out by this time, their innovations laid the groundwork for survival in Europe's harsh climates and beyond. And of course, there was us, Homo sapiens. Back then, we were just starting out, confined to Africa, but already showing signs of the ingenuity that would eventually take us global. Together, these 6 human species created a world unlike anything we know today. But how did only one of them survive? Let's find out in the next chapter of this incredible story, the challenges of survival, climate, megafauna, and human innovation. 200,000 years ago, survival was a full-time job. The Ice Age climate threw curveballs constantly, shifting between glacial chills and warmer interglacials. 1 minute you had frozen tundras, and the next, lush grasslands. Life had to stay adaptable, with every species, humans included, pushing their limits just to make it through the day. For plants, even tiny climate changes were life or death. Forests retreated as open grasslands spread, creating opportunities for some animals while pushing others to extinction. Meanwhile, megafauna thrived in these new spaces, evolving to deal with harsh winters or scorching summer plains. Mammoths, sloths, and rhinos were the undisputed icons of this unforgiving world. Humans didn't have fur or claws, but we had something even better: brains. Early humans learned to make tools, use fire, and plan hunts strategically. These innovations were lifesavers, allowing them to hunt animals far larger and stronger than themselves. Arrows, spears, and traps leveled the playing field in a world dominated by predators. But predators weren't the only danger. Competition with other human species added another layer of complexity. Each group had its own survival tactics, from Neanderthal muscle power to Denisovan adaptability. This rivalry pushed humans to innovate faster, turning survival into a kind of evolutionary arms race. The shifting climate also meant unpredictable food supplies. During colder periods, game was scarce and plants struggled to grow. Early humans had to become flexible eaters, scavenging, hunting, and gathering anything they could find. This adaptability became one of our greatest strengths, helping our species endure. Let's not forget the megafauna. Hunting a mammoth or a woolly rhino wasn't just about skill. It required teamwork, bravery, and a bit of luck. These hunts provided more than food. They created bonds, traditions, and even stories. It's not hard to imagine early humans gathering around fires, recounting tales of successful hunts. This constant battle for survival shaped not just the land, but the beings living on it. Every choice, every adaptation left its mark on history. As we move forward, We'll see how these early challenges set the stage for the rise and eventual dominance of one human species, Homo sapiens. The story is just getting started. The rise of Homo sapiens, a species like no other. 200,000 years ago, our species was just another face in the crowd of human relatives. Confined to Africa, Homo sapiens didn't seem all that special at first glance, but beneath the surface, something extraordinary was brewing. With our knack for creativity and problem-solving, we were about to embark on a journey that would forever change the world. What set Homo sapiens apart? One word: adaptability. While Neanderthals were built for the cold and Denisovans thrived in Asia, we were the generalists. Whether it was deserts, forests, or grasslands, we could figure out how to live there. That flexibility gave us an edge when it came to surviving in unpredictable environments. Tools became our best friends. Homo sapiens refined the art of crafting weapons and tools, making sharper spear tips and more precise cutting blades. These advancements weren't just practical, they were game-changing. With better tools, hunting became easier and our diet expanded, giving us the energy to keep innovating. But it wasn't just about tools, it was about community. Early sapiens lived in larger, more organized groups, sharing knowledge and working together. This cooperation led to shared goals, like successful hunts and protection from predators. It's no surprise that teamwork became a hallmark of our species. Art and expression also began to emerge. Early Homo sapiens left behind carvings, jewelry, and even cave paintings, hinting at their ability to imagine, dream, and communicate. This creativity wasn't just for fun. It was a way to pass on ideas, connect with others, and build a sense of identity. Perhaps our greatest strength was our curiosity. Homo sapiens weren't content to stay in one place. Over tens of thousands of years, they began exploring, migrating out of Africa and into new lands. Each step into the unknown brought challenges, but it also brought discoveries that shaped the world we know today. Our journey wasn't without consequences. As Homo sapiens spread, other species of humans began to disappear. Was it competition, interbreeding, or something else? The answer isn't simple, but one thing is clear. By 200,000 years ago, Homo sapiens were on a path to becoming the dominant species, and the rest, as they say, is history. What happened next? The journey to modern humanity. So what happened after 200,000 years ago? Spoiler alert, it was a wild ride. The world was changing and Homo sapiens were on the move. From small beginnings in Africa, they spread like wildfire, crossing continents and encountering new environments, challenges, and even other humans. This was the start of a global adventure that would reshape everything. As Homo sapiens ventured out, they didn't just adapt, they thrived. They brought tools, language, and creativity to every corner of the planet. Whether they were braving icy tundras or lush jungles, they found ways to survive. And along the way, they encountered Neanderthals, Denisovans, and other humans, forming a complicated web of relationships. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. The journey was filled with danger, from predators to climate disasters. Some regions were easier to settle than others, but Homo sapiens had an edge, the ability to think ahead. Planning for the future, building shelters, and storing food set them apart and allowed them to outlast the challenges they faced. With each new place they reached, Homo sapiens left their mark. They hunted megafauna, which sometimes led to extinctions and shaped the landscapes around them. These actions didn't just change the world, they transformed it. Over time, humans became more than survivors. They became influencers of the very ecosystems they inhabited. The disappearance of other human species remains a mystery. Did Homo sapiens outcompete them, interbreed with them, or were environmental factors to blame? The answer might be a mix of all three. What's clear is that by around 10,000 years ago, Homo sapiens were the last humans standing, ready to take on the challenges of a new era. This wasn't just a story of survival, it was a story of transformation. The tools and strategies developed during those 200,000 years laid the foundation for everything that came next. From agriculture to art, the seeds of human civilization were already planted, waiting to sprout in the millennia ahead. And that's where our story pauses, for now. The journey of Homo sapiens is far from over, and every step we've taken has led us to the world we live in today. But what can we learn from those ancient challenges? Stay tuned, because the past has a lot more to teach us about our future.